There are not many things that I am really good at in this world. In fact, I have always considered myself to be that type of person that is average at a lot of things, but not really good at anything specifically. In fact, in high school, I played high school sports and I was just good enough to make it onto the team, but not good enough to make any sort of substantial difference in the team. Same goes for my grades in school. I was just good enough to pass, but not good enough to do anything above a C. And that has really continued into my career as well. I don't think I am great at anything. I think I'm just average at a lot of different aspects in my career. But that is with the exception of one thing. And this one thing is something that I think that I do exceptionally well. And that is my work ethic. So in this video, I want to give my top tips on how to improve your work ethic. That way you can have a more functional and more successful career, a better home life, and just an overall more productive day. So let's get started. Work ethic is one of those topics that I think is incredibly interesting because I think that to an extent, we are almost like hardwired in our brain for how we work and what our work ethic is. Now, with that, I don't think it's impossible to override that hardwire, but I do think that to an extent, our brains have a certain level of work ethic that we naturally have. For example, I have two sisters, and the three of us were all raised in the same environment. We all were set to the same standards, and yet all three of us have extremely different levels of work ethic. And I always found that to be incredibly interesting. With that being said, I do think that there are a number of things that all of us can do to improve our work ethic and thus improving our success, improving our productivity, and just improving our overall quality of life. I'm a big believer that work ethic can make up for any downside that you may have, both personally and in your career. And if you have a good work ethic, that can make up for almost anything else. And with that, my number one tip to improve your work ethic is to do everything with a sense of purpose. You know, so often we go through our day-to-day tasks and we are simply going through the motions of completing those tasks just simply to check off the box of completion. People go to the gym just to be able to say they went to the gym. They go to work just to collect a paycheck. They do X, Y, and Z just simply to say that it was done. And the fact is that I think that going through the motions is one of the number one ways that you can hinder productivity and really hinder yourself long term. I think that going through the motions is like the autopilot version of living life. And I'm a big believer that if you commit yourself to do anything, you should put 100% of your effort into doing that. And it doesn't really matter what that task or what that thing is. All that matters is that you put your effort into that. For example, we see this a lot around January 1st whenever people want to adopt more healthy life habits. People want to start going to the gym, they want to start eating healthier, they want to lose weight. And I think that all of those things are amazing. And I think that that's a great goal to set at the beginning of the year. But at the same time, you see so many people go to the gym and they are looking on their phone while they're lifting weights, or they're on the treadmill walking extremely slowly while they're talking on the phone. I think that there is a time and place to be on your phone. There's a time and place to talk to your friends and family. There's a time and place to look at TikToks or memes. But I think that if you have a goal to set for yourself and you want to reach a specific milestone, the time and place for those things isn't in the process of trying to complete that goal. So if you are wanting to lose weight, if you're wanting to get healthy, if you're wanting to go to the gym, then that's the time to complete and work towards that goal. It's not the time to be on your phone. It's not the time to have a conversation with your sister or your parents. It is a time to be there and to put real intention into completing that task. And that task in this example would be to lose weight or to get healthier. But this is applicable to every aspect of our life, whether it's work, whether it's our kids, whether it's our home life. We really need to put intention with the things that we do. And I think that with intention comes progress, and with progress comes almost an addiction to that progress. And then you want to see it more and more, so you work harder for that task to be completed. The second tip I have is to figure out your why. This is a big one, and this is something that a lot of people talk about whenever you're setting goals. If you're wanting to set a goal, you have to figure out what the why is of that goal. And that why needs to be extremely meaningful and extremely impactful to yourself. For example, money. I mean, money is a goal that a lot of people have. A lot of people want to make more money. But the problem is that so many people don't actually put the work into making more money because their why isn't strong enough. And your why for making more money might be different than my why. For example, some people, their why might be to be able to afford an exotic car or a mansion one day. For other people, it may just be to have financial security and to be able to buy whatever they want when they want to buy it. The reason why this is so incredibly important is because whatever you're wanting to accomplish in life, whether it's to start a business, to become more successful, to become healthier, whatever the case case is, whatever you're wanting to accomplish is without a doubt going to at some point cut into something in your life. If you're wanting to start a business, you may have to make a choice at some point whether to go to bed early or to continue working on your business. If you're wanting to get healthy, you may have to decide, okay, do I want to eat this donut or do I want to eat something different? Or do I want to go to the gym or do I want to stay home and watch TV? There's always going to be a decision that needs to be made. And if you're choosing one thing, then you are consciously choosing against the other. And if you have a strong why, then that is a good reminder in your head of being like, okay, I really want this donut, but I also want to get healthier and lose 20 pounds, and I want to do that because of this, and thus I'm not going to eat the donut. And I think it's incredibly important to define your why for every aspect of your life and to use that as a motivating factor for getting work done, for making progress, and to sticking to a task. My third tip is organization, and this is something that I think is a tip and an aspect of work ethic that isn't often talked about, because there's always this belief that people have different forms of organization, and type A people are super organized while type B people are a mess. And I kind of think as though that's sort of a myth. The thing about organization is that organization looks different for you than it does for me. And I think everybody has their own form of organization. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to organize your life this way and you need to do X, Y, and Z, because that simply isn't the case either. But what I will say is that I do think that some form of organization is incredibly important in improving your work ethic. Now, your organization doesn't have to be the traditional organization that so many people think of. For some people, organization is writing down everything they need to know. For some people, it's putting everything in a calendar. For some people, it's sticky notes. Whatever the case is, I think that it's incredibly important to figure out an organization strategy that works for you. An organization strategy to remember what tasks need to be completed, any deadlines that need to be made, things that need to be done, and so much more. The next tip that I have is to develop some sort of schedule or routine for yourself. Now, again, this is highly individualized, and what works for you may not work for me, and that's totally okay. Now, the fact is that there is a big difference between being busy and being productive, and there are so many people, including myself, that get caught in the hamster wheel of always being busy but not being productive. I mean, we've all had those days, and in my opinion, I think that they're the worst days to have. Those days where you run around all day long doing a bunch of different tasks, and then at the end of the day, you reflect on what you accomplished, and you didn't get anything you wanted accomplished done. In fact, I just had this type of day on Saturday, and it was the absolute worst. Now, the fact is that there is a difference between these two things, and sometimes we can't help but be busy because there are things that come up and things that need our attention. But I do think that there are some parameters that we can set into place to allow us to avoid the hamster wheel of being busy but not being productive. Number one is to, of course, develop some sort of routine. For me, I always make sure that I run in the morning. Why? Because I know that if I run in the afternoon, there is a 50-50 shot, if not higher, that I won't run at all. So because of that, I make sure to run and work out first thing in the morning. Additionally, I only check email 3 times a day. I'll check it in the morning when I start work, I'll check it around lunchtime, and then I'll check it in the evening before I sign off for the day. This allows me to ensure that I don't end up getting stuck in the wheel of responding to emails for hours on end, because I know I've been there and I'm sure you have as well. Responding to emails isn't productive. It is, of course, a required task of any person who has a career, but the fact is it isn't something that is inherently productive, and it can, in fact, hinder you from having a productive day altogether. And another suggestion could be to define when and how you complete certain tasks. Again, to give you a personal example, I typically will do all of my desk work in the morning. I do this because I know that if I wait until the afternoon, there's a 50-50 shot that some of that desk work will never get done. So I do the desk work in the morning when I'm most concentrated and when I'm most willing to sit in one place, and in the afternoon I reserve that time to doing miscellaneous tasks, miscellaneous errands, working on Turo cars, and so much more. Having these guidelines and having these kind of benchmarks throughout my day of when and how I complete certain tasks allow me to stay on top of my productivity. Now, of course, busy days are inevitable, and there's really nothing you can do to prevent yourself from never having a busy day. But having some sort of outline and guideline for your day-to-day schedule will absolutely help you be more productive and thus increasing your work ethic. Now, you may be asking yourself, none of these items that I talked about in this video really have anything to do with increasing work ethic specifically. Instead, they cover more so about increasing productivity, and you would be right in that assumption. You see, how I think work ethic is really improved and really built is by improving your habits one after another until you have an incredible work ethic in the process. Things like waking up early and being intentional and purposeful with your day. Things like being organized, things like having a set routine for when you can or can't do stuff and when others can expect certain things from you. All of these things contribute to having a good work ethic. And I think that the number one factor in work ethic is these good habits that compound on top of one another that will increase your productivity, your work ethic, and your overall success rate. At the end of the day, life is all about growing and improving your habits, and work ethic is no different. But with that being said, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. If I did not discuss something that you feel is helpful to increasing your productivity and work ethic, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.